Watch the whole day.
What's the step behind? What's the step
Down slowly. There's a butterfly step here.
When I pick up, you want the trolley. No one else pick up the
Trolley.
Let's pick up the trolley. When I pick up the box.
What's going on?
All. Come here.
It's not.
It's what they decided.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
No.
Okay, put all the step. Let's do the things and then.
Issues. Roshan?
Oh, we just got in to get some music. Get some music.
We're going to wait for Roshan.
He's gonna do the.
It's Roshan.
He's coming.
He's coming. He's going to get some. I'm trying to get something.
Maybe we don't need it now because he's gonna start. Vanessa, it's okay. She's gonna start with the praise. So it's okay. Don't know what to confession. Don't know what to do. Don't know what to do. You're gonna start. It's okay. आदित्यादि वैशाख मासे शुक्ल पक्षे पांचम सुद तिथियों शुक्रवारवासे कश्यप गोत्रस्य दादिमात्रेतस्य उत्तरक्रिया अधिकार प्राप्ति अर्थ यथाशक्ति गौदानं सुत्कान्तम् अहं करिष्ये। ओम आदित्यादि वैशाख मासे शुक्ल पक्षे पांचम सुद तिथियों शुक्रवारवासे कश्यप गोत्रस्य दादिसी प्रेतस्य प्रेतत्व मुक्ति अर्थ उत्तम लोक प्राप्ति अर्थ मृत स्थाने शवा। Say the full name.
Parvathi Mothiram.
Parvati Ben.
Parvathi Ben.
Husband.
Dhirajlal.
Parvati Ben Dhirajlal by Pindalanam Aham Karishe. Just leave that in. Take the first one in your hand. ओम अद्यः कश्यपदादिसि प्रेतः भूमितुष्ट्यर्थ मृतक स्थाने शवनामे एष पिण्डस्ते तयोर्मदिततां तव प्रतिष्ठिताम् अग्ने जनमा. Take a second. Yeah, with the stick and the cotton. Keep it. Now leave that. Hold this. Now hold this. Pin. ओम अद्यः कश्यपदादि श्री प्रेतः यम दुतुष्टि अर्थ गृह वास्तवि देवता तुष्टि अर्थ पान्तनामेश पिण्डस्ते मयोद्यतां तव प्रतिष्ठताम् अग्ने जनमा. ओम अद्यः कश्यपदादि श्री प्रेतः भूतकोटि पलायन काम खेचर नाम एष पिण्डस्ते मयोद्यतां तव प्रतिष्ठताम् अग्ने जनमा. ओम अद्यः कश्यपदादि श्री प्रेतः पिशाचादि अविघ्नकाम भूतानाम् एष पिण्डस्ते मयोद्यतां तव प्रतिष्ठताम् अग्ने जनमा. ओम अद्यः कश्यपः दादिसि प्रेतः चिताया दाह साधन नाम एष पिण्डस्ते मयोदितां तव प्रतिष्ठताम् अग्ने जनमा. ओम अद्यः कश्यपदादि श्री प्रेतः मोक्षकाम अस्ति संजय निमित्तकम् एष पिण्डस्ते मयोदिताम् अग्ने जनमा.
Each cotton puts.
Yeah, put each cotton on top. Om pratyeva janama. The grass on top here.
Grass is
here. Okay.
They can't go there, close it.
Om Pinde Pratyeva Janama.
help me? Yeah, just pick one. Don't want too much. You can't go further down any quicker.
No, it's okay, leave it like that. Yeah, leave it like that. It is like that.
Between the two legs.
पिंडे प्रत्येव जन्म पिंडे ऊना सूत्रकम् पिंडे उशीरचन्दनं पिंडे भृङ्गराजपत्रं पिंडे पुष्पणम् पिंडे राहधूपं पिल्लतैलधूपं पिंडे लोह्य दक्षिणाधूपं little water outside. After the 3 feras, put this one in the middle there.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And the water must be around the coffin or inside.
You must put outside, then put the flowers inside.
Okay.
Okay, just hold this, no? Just hold it.
This is up.
This is the water. See the picture. Roshan, take this first. You don't own it. ओम आदित्य वैशाख मासे शुक्ल पक्षे पाचम सूर्यतिथियो शुक्रवारवासे कश्यप पुत्रस्य लालिमा प्रेतस्य चत्वरेखे चरणाम पिण्डदानम् अहं करिष्ये. Put it right round and take water again. ओम ह्रीं प्रेताय स्वाहा ह्रीं प्रेतसखाय स्वाहा ह्रीं प्रेतपाय स्वाहा ह्रीं प्रेतभूमिपाय स्वाहा ह्रीं प्रेतहत्रे स्वाहा.
Just next to the head.
This water you will need to feed. After the third prayer, put this a drop in the mouth.
With the bottom.
It's the seventh one.
Three. Yeah.
Let's follow him. They all can feed them.
Yeah, okay.
You have to first and then you have to show
They put both of them. Put down in the mouth. And then take the lips on the chest or something.
Everyone must be put in the mouth.
Just put it on the chest.
The pharmacy inside.
Learn must put inside here, put the water outside. Just a drop water. 3 rounds and the coconut must go between the cups. Is the coconut good? No, the one you gave him. Just ask him.
Yeah.
Take it out from
Take it
there.
out.
You have to put it on that lota water and go around.
I did that.
3 times.
3 times.
Oh, okay.
Put it. I know. Oh, yeah.
Trying to confine Anisha, trying to confine Anisha is going to be very difficult. Yeah, I mean, she wants to be left loose.
There's so many things going on, so many new faces.
19, yeah.
She's alive.
Don't you think?
One year. Okay, come on, you go, and then you put the flag of
Sit down, Julie. Sit down. That's what I recall, but maybe.
This water across the
Otherwise, like how I did that,
Mom is trying to come to
Just steal controls on the baby. Taking candy from the baby.
Manisha is on treatment.
Yeah?
So, okay. That's right.
Yeah.
for your husband.
Wait, do you know which one's mine? Of course I know. I think you're getting confused.
Yes,
Yes. Sorry, Baba. Is it done?
You got the stick on one.
Yeah. Which one, Miss Rachel? This one? Yeah. Sorry, it sounded like big one.
Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram 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 Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram
Başlık.
Sonra. Go to the top.
The tongue is here.
Somebody roll it down. Can you take it up? You roll it down. The beetle knife.
Take it as well.
Yeah.
नमो नमः श्री सिद्धि विनायक नमो नमः अष्ट विनायक नमो नमः गणपति बप्पा मोरया मंगल मूर्ति मोरया ओम गणपतिये नमो नमः श्री सिद्धि विनायक नमो नमः अष्ट विनायक नमो नमः गणपति बप्पा मोरया ओम गणपतिये नमो नमः श्री सिद्धि विनायक नमो नमः अष्ट विनायक नमो नमः गणपति बप्पा मोरया मंगल मूर्ति मोरया गणपतिये नमो नमः श्री सिद्धि विनायक नमो नमः अष्ट विनायक नमो नमः गणपति बप्पा मोरया मंगल मूर्ति मोरया ओम गणपतिये नमो नमः श्री सिद्धि विनायक नमो नमः अष्ट विनायक नमो नमः गणपति बप्पा मोरया ओम गणपतिये नमो नमः श्री सिद्धि विनायक नमो नमः अष्ट विनायक नमो नमः गणपति बप्पा मोरया मंगल गजवदना विनायका गजवदना गणनादा गजवदना विनायका गजवदना गणनादा गजवदना विनायका सिद्धिविदाता शिवतनया सिद्धिविदाता शिवतनया बुद्धिप्रदायक गजानना बुद्धिप्रदायक गजानना पार्वती नंदन भवभयभञ्जन पार्वती नंदन भवभयभञ्जन युग युग वंदित जय श्री गणेश युग युग वंदित जय श्री गणेश गजवदना गणनादा गजवदना विनायका गजवदना गणनादा गजवदना विनायका गजवदना विनायका गजवदना विनायका.
Om Sai Ram, family and friends. Today we have all gathered here to pay our last respect to my Masi, whom we used to fondly call Raman Masi. I was so surprised when I saw the name as Parvati, because none of us really knew her as Parvati. We all knew her as Raman Masi. So yeah, it was a surprise to us. I wish she was around. And if she was, I would have really asked her, is your name Raman or is your name Parvati now? Because we don't know Parvati, we only know Raman. But anyway, that was Raman Masi. And although it's a very sad occasion today, in a way it's a relief as well, because most of us know that my Masi was in a comatose state for the last year. And it was very, very sad for us to see her, such a strong person, in that condition. I mean, those that know Masi will know she was really a tough lady. She went through a lot in her lifetime as well. But like she told me, in the end, she was treated like a queen by her family and her children. She had the best of treatment towards the end of her life. She really was looked after very, very well, and she was very happy at the end of her life. Now, Raman Masi and I were more like buddies, we were more like friends, because whenever she got bored, she would phone me. I think I was the only one that used to speak in Gujarati to her. So she would phone and she would ask me in Gujarati, "Kana tu શું કરે છે આજે? તે શું રાંધ્યું આજે?" She would ask, "How are you? What you cook today? What you going to be doing today?" So Masi, I'm going to miss that. I don't know who else I'm going to speak Gujarati with now. You were the last link in our family as well. She was my mother's only sibling that was alive. And this is the last link from my mother's side as well, because all my mother's siblings have passed on now. And she actually was the weakest of all the siblings. And she outlived them all. And that is my Masi, really. We are so proud of her and very proud of, how she really went through her life in such a dignified manner, without really a lot of complaints. She was very quiet, she did things in her own style, but she went through whatever she needed to go through with. So anyway, today we have come to rest her finally. And Masi, may you rest in peace now. And you out of all this bodily pain now, and you are with your Maker now, and you definitely are in a better space now. We have a few speakers for today. The first speaker is going to be Roshan, Masi's eldest grandchild, and her favorite grandson. And yes, and Roshan was at her bedside when she passed away. She didn't want anybody around her, I think. She only wanted Roshan. And Roshan was there till the end for her And I used to remember she used to tell me, Roshan will come and massage her feet and, play with her and her hair and everything. And she really, really loved you, Roshan. So, if you can come up. I know it's really hard so for you, but she's at peace now, Roshan, so, you have to be strong now.
This is a sad time indeed, with the passing of our Ma, Parvathi Mothiram. Where to begin when describing such a profound being? I'm not saying that she's profound just because she's my grandmother. I'm saying that she's a profound being regardless of the nature of my relationship with her. During the course of her life, her sense of independence was continuously challenged. I remember clearly that Ma enjoyed her activity and liked to remain busy, contributing to the well-being of all those around her. As her ability was slowly stripped away, there was a little adjustment period, but she was somehow able to make do, and she maintained this loving aura around her. Whatever she could do for herself, she did on her own, but she sort of adapted in a way in which she was able to still maintain her beauty and dignity. In that period, she had thrown herself deeply into her newly found hobby of coloring, as well as cleaning vegetables and her rich prayer life. For as long as I can remember Ma, she would use the term time to time. She was regimented in many ways. She was an early riser and had a 3-hour morning sadhana routine. Ablutions at a certain time, coloring or cleaning vegetables, calling her children, friends, family and other family members, as well as praying for others, all had a slot in her schedule, day in, day out. Ma's coloring was one of the cutest and most wonderful things for many of us. She had suffered a fracture for the umpteenth time, and now her mobility was deeply challenged. She could no longer cook, and her and I moved from the back cottage to the front house around this time. She was so distressed. I remember Barnafoy introducing her to adult coloring books. She was actually quite insulted by it, lamenting that this is for children. She pulled her face and we laughed together about it. Eventually she started warming up to the notion of taking up coloring. This became a sort of a passion project for her. She would show a piece of art to all of us. She would regularly call for one of us and show us her works. This was part of her 9 to 5. We have stacks and stacks of these coloring books at home. Grandchildren, children, cousins, nieces and nephews alike all knew to buy Ma interesting and different coloring books whenever they traveled. Many of us would remember Ma staring at the page, contemplating which color to use very, very carefully, and even asking for a second opinion at times. I know that this may seem trivial, but it is not actually so. It communicates that her care even extended to the minutest of activities. And another important part of Ma's day was her rich prayer and spiritual life. Something which she took throughout her day, the effects of which were actually very clear to many of us. She was a straight shooter, rarely mincing her words, and she was just a ball of immeasurable love with such stamina. Such stamina and endurance when it came to this love. Something which I found remarkable. Personally, I've experienced a bounty of love in my life. But Ma was something else altogether. Ma would also spend an inordinate amount of time praying regularly for the well-being of many. A portion of her day would be spent praying for Kiran Kaka, Bharti Foy, Bhavana Foy and her family and their families, as well as us at home. This actually went on for decades and only really stopped in recent years when she was compelled to do so. Her rich prayer life and devotion to Shirdi Sai Baba had started while she was a young mother living in Sapingo Beach. There were many miracles which would happen at home, and the nature of these experiences brought about a lifelong dedication to Shirdi Sai Baba and the like. She had told me that when she was younger, she would sleep and the mantra would be playing. Even in later life, if she woke up with prayer. Her devotion to God even showed itself when she had a stroke, and just prior to losing her speech, she was singing the Hanuman Chalisa as a form of refuge. She really was wonderful and devout in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening. She had realized the significance of Baba entering everyone's lives, and from then on she had decided to dedicate her entire life to him, and I don't think she ever went back on it. She had humorous expressions as well. Those were most felt by her children, particularly her daughters. She would be so straight in a way that only a daughter would be able to handle it. If she didn't like a dish Bhanu made prepared for her, she would pull her face and make it known. Or she would criticize another facet of Bhakti for his lives. She would express it in such an abrupt manner, but the daughters took it with such grace and even laughed it off, or maybe even found it endearing. In the latter part of Ma's care, my mom, dad, and Naren Kaka were involved in overseeing this. Each played a role in easing the process of her fading away. If I were to be honest though, all three of them had a role to play in Ma's life way before she was incapacitated. I know that I can be overly critical, especially when it comes to matters surrounding Ma. But a lot of things were made possible for Ma because of my parents. The space that was required for her processing, the facilitation of carers, and whatever time spent by many was made possible due to their efforts. Also, Naren Kaka was really at Ma's beck and call. To my memory, even if Ma hinted that she would want to see him, he would drop everything and come to her. This is saying something because he had a very busy schedule. He would bow down to her and treated her with such a traditional care and respect. Another person who displayed this traditional respect towards Ma was her eldest son Yeshwan. He with all his siblings would drop everything and come to Ma when she called. This ancient and sacred way in which he related to Ma was actually quite beautiful to watch, and would be defiled in a way if it were to be expressed too much in words. Finally, I need to thank Ma's carers. I need to thank Ma's carers as well as Jerome and Florence. Each and every one had some sort of relationship with Ma. Ma would usually save treats for her second son Jerome as well as Florence and her wonderful caregivers. I think we as the Rana family are in a debt of gratitude to these kind people who provided so much care and attention to Ma, day in and day out. In saying this though, I don't think that many of us could really do right by her. I'm not saying that she felt wronged, I'm not saying that she felt that we wronged her. I'm saying that the sheer magnanimity and graciousness of her love was such that it would be impossible to return the favor fully. I personally feel that I could never do right by her. The only real gift that could be offered was keeping her in touch with reminders of the Almighty during her lengthy processing and transitioning period. I'm sure many of us will go through the remainder of our lives feeling that we didn't actually do fully right by her. Whilst there is truth in this, it would have never been fully possible to repay her in a single lifetime. I think the only thing we can really do for her now would be to firstly acknowledge that we aren't able to fully comprehend how the nature of her is. I think the only thing we can really do for her now would be to firstly acknowledge that we aren't actually able to fully comprehend how the nature of her existence has deeply impacted the course of our lives. Then perhaps after acknowledging this, we could begin to further her efforts. This is the only way that I can personally reconcile shortfalls in my interactions with Ma, that we further her legacy, and it is a legacy indeed. Just because Ma didn't spend much time in the rat race, it doesn't mean that her existence didn't contribute significantly to the texture of our lives. We see that the hustle and bustle of life can be experienced as quite hollow and empty, insincere and fake at times. Positions and views change on a regular basis. I'm not saying evolve, I am saying change. With Ma, we can see that her way of being endured. It endured the collapse of business. It endured the reorganizing of fundamental family structures. It endured the death of loved ones, friends and family alike. Her loveliness enjoyed the death of her husband Dhiru and child Jagdish. Her wonderfulness endured through the stripping away of mobility and even dementia. and her felt presence may even endure beyond the grave. She truly was wonderful in the morning, wonderful in the afternoon, and wonderful in the evening. My dearie, as I would often call her, thank you, Ma, for all that you have done for us, and most of all, thank you for all that you have been for us. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
मेरी बाबा श्री सत्य साई, एक बार क्षमा करो साई, मेरी बाबा श्री सत्य साई, एक बार क्षमा करो साई, मेरी बाबा श्री सत्य साई, श्यामा मूर्ति साई बाबा, भीम मूर्ति सत्य साई, श्यामा मूर्ति साई बाबा, भीम मूर्ति सत्य साई, एक बार क्षमा करो साई, मेरी बाबा श्री सत्य साई, एक बार क्षमा करो साई, मेरी बाबा श्री सत्य साई, शिरडी की साई तेरी द्वारक माई, शिरडी की साई तेरी द्वारक माई, परती की साई तेरी याद मुझे आई, परती की साई तेरी याद मुझे आई, क्षमा मूर्ति साई बाबा, भीम मूर्ति सत्य साई, क्षमा मूर्ति साई बाबा, भीम मूर्ति सत्य साई, एक बार क्षमा करो साई, मेरी बाबा श्री सत्य साई, एक बार क्षमा करो साई, मेरी बाबा श्री सत्य साई, क्षमा मूर्ति साई बाबा, भीम मूर्ति सत्य साई, क्षमा मूर्ति साई बाबा, भीम मूर्ति सत्य साई, एक बार क्षमा करो साई, मेरी बाबा श्री सत्य साई, शिरडी की साई तेरी द्वारक माई, शिरडी की साई तेरी द्वारक माई, परती की साई तेरी याद मुझे आई, परती की साई तेरी याद मुझे आई, श्यामा मूर्ति साई बाबा, भीम मूर्ति सत्य साई, श्यामा मूर्ति साई बाबा, भीम मूर्ति सत्य साई, एक बार क्षमा करो साई, मेरी बाबा श्री सत्य साई, एक बार क्षमा करो साई, मेरी बाबा श्री सत्य साई, मेरी बाबा श्री सत्य साई, मेरी बाबा श्री सत्य साई।
Om Sai Ram again. Thank you very much for the lovely bhajan Maya. It was really, really nice. Our second speaker will be Laura, Masi's granddaughter. She's come all the way from Scotland. She will read out a few messages from the family overseas and from the family from India as well.
When we started to gather everyone's memories to create a speech about Ma, I don't think we expected many people to provide input. It's not because there's not nothing to say, it's just because most of the Ranas aren't overly gushy in terms of emotions. I'll read a few snippets of what people have to say. I don't think that what I'm about to read could do justice to all the memories of Ma. It's just because there is so much. But hopefully these passages will communicate, at least in part, the love that many held for Ma. The first passage comes from Yashwant, Ma's eldest son. I don't know if my many moments with Ma are something that I could really share with people, and I don't know if I really want to. Most things are better left unsaid. But I have the highest regard for my mother, and I owe many things to her influence. During my youth, it was sort of common for the eldest to enter the family business, but my mother was firm that I study, even though it meant I would have to leave home and go abroad. Where I am now has a lot to do with the decisions that she made surrounding my life. Aside from this sort of standing in life, I owe other qualities of mine to my mother's influence. It is not in my nature to say what though. As much as I was close to my father, Bobby and I shared a silent bond. We never really used terms like, I love you, and all of that, but the way we were together was more than enough, far more than enough. Thank you, Bobby. Next, I'll share a few words from Kinukada, her youngest son. Well, there are tons of memories that stand out with me about Ma. Some of them food-related, but not all. It's just that she communicated something through her cooking and the care that went into it. I remember that whilst I was in Surat Hindu, she would make fresh masala chip sandwiches on the two-plate stove at our shop in Prince Edward Street. It was the tastiest chips, and I don't think I could properly replicate it. It was something to do with the love and care that Ma put into it. She would personally deliver it to me during my lunch breaks, never really asking for praise or acknowledgement, simply doing as love does, with care and without expectation of reward. Memories of Ma in the kitchen have also been etched into Ray, Taya and Tahil's hearts. I didn't really expect them to remember Ma preparing rotli or tava. Taya had also grown a liking for Indian soap operas, a must-see in Ma's earlier days. Although Ma would chastise me at times, it never really felt as if she was scolding. I'm sure all of us have been recipients of Ma's straight shooting, but I never really felt hurt by it. It wasn't scolding as such. That's the thing with her. Even if she was fierce, or whatever one would call it, I and many others never really experienced it in that way. Even in the moments of toughness, she was soft and tender. My next passage comes from Bhavisha. Ma had been a pivotal part of my life and always been a constant. She always wanted the best for us and was our biggest supporter even when we didn't know it. Ma put others' needs first and loved her family dearly. I remember my favourite times in town with Ma, either going to their place on town on a Sunday, spending some of my holidays with her and Dada, or sitting with her in the kitchen. Of course, I was just eating and not actually cooking. She showed her love through food and passed on this love to all of us. Ma had shared many stories of her youth, hopes and dreams. And one of them that stuck out for me is that she wanted to become a teacher. It used to make me sad, because it was a wish of mine that Ma's dreams could be fulfilled. This was largely because she sacrificed so much for everyone, but as time went by, I began to realise that she was a teacher of sorts. Her way of being had silently influenced us. Having grandparents with me through a lot of my life was a real boon, forever etched in my heart. I promise to honour you in everything that I do, and will never forget your love, Ma. May you be at peace now, with Shri Baba. Love you, Ma. Next up, I have a passage from Parvathi and family. So it was part of my daily routine that Ma would call almost like clockwork. She would inquire regularly about all of our well-being at home, and she was also sure to let me know about any upcoming fasting days. Ma expressing concern was her way of showing affection. She wasn't an obviously affectionate person. Her regular inquiries was her way of expressing her care towards myself and my family. And you know what? Us as people take these things for granted. It was so ingrained in me for quite a few years that Mum would call me nearly every day. For the year that she was in a comatose state, at times I felt something was missing or I felt a bit lost when I didn't hear from her. It was so funny that we more deeply appreciate these gestures when they are absent. A quality of Ma's that I really admire is her determination. With all those operations that she had, she was so determined to get back on her feet and maintain a certain degree of independence. This was something which I'm sure many of us looked up to. I think that I have been shaped by Ma in many ways that I may not fully understand, but I am truly grateful. I don't know what else to say, but thank you, Ma. Last passage is on behalf of my father, Jagdish. So I can only speak on behalf of my dad, Jagdish, and touch on the things I personally feel had impacted him. But I know that Ma had a big impact on his life. He would have fondly remembered his childhood with a dutiful mother who spent her days sourcing and cooking the best food for her family, who were sardined into a house overflowing with emotion and camaraderie. Time translated this into a man who took an annual pilgrimage to his mother's home to evoke the comforting feelings from his childhood, and a mother who excitedly awaited his visit, preparing all his favourite dishes for us to dine on. It was at this moment that I would see our father at his happiest. Because of this, my sister Tara and I feel our roots deeply in 12 2nd Avenue, where I remember sneaking Ma her secret indulgences when the adults weren't watching, rubbing her legs when they were aching, and of course receiving scoldings when I couldn't understand what she wanted from the kitchen cupboard. For me, these trips were a time to reflect and watch Ma sit contentedly with her family, gathered side by side, year after year, ingrained into me the importance of family. I believe the devotion we all have for Ma reflects on the sacrifices she made for her family and the time she invested in getting to know all of us, even if she didn't always agree with our choices. She always supported us. Thank you.
विधाता तू ही जगदाता विश्व विधाता तू ही सुबरा तू ही श्याम मेरा 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 जग में सचो तेरो नाम मेरा 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 मेरा
Saran. The last speaker will be my brother, Kishan. He's come all the way from Scotland as well. He was very close to Mamasi because we've all gone away to study overseas, and Kishan was the youngest amongst us all. And he spent a lot of time with my Masi in her younger days. So he interacted with her a lot in her younger days and his very young days. So Kishan will speak on Masi's youthful days, I should say.
Thanks, Lisa. Hi, thank you. Want some time just for the way to start. Many people can say that they had more than one mother. And one of those was Roman Master. As my sister said, I was very close to her, especially in the early days with Yeshua. We both were more or less the same vintage and we spent a lot of time together. And there are many days where I would go from home to home. Apart from enjoying the company of my aunt, she was a tremendous cook, And I use that as a cover to go and see her at times, because then you go straight in the kitchen and open the pot and see what's there. And she would love it because she ensured that there was always food at home. And that was very nice. So I was trying to figure out what word can describe my auntie best. And I thought, the probably the best word is resilience. My auntie had tremendous resilience throughout her life. She was able to put her head down and crack on. Despite all the clouds and all the rain and all the hailstorms around her, she had a focus. The focus was her family. And you all see here today, running their own shows in the world and doing extremely well. My mum and my aunt had quite a few things in common. And the thing that struck me recently was her artistic ability. This is my aunt. And so was my mum. My mum was, as people would know, very, very well known for her embroidery and all the artistry that she would engage in her life. But in later life, as Laura had said, and as Russian, she took colouring. And whenever I used to come home, and I used to come home fairly often because the nature of my work brought me here, my first stop was to go to see her. And she'd be busy colouring. And it was not just that it was colouring with colour pencils and in a pre-formed template. As Roshan said, she had thought behind it. And it's one of the things that I think she's left behind. And she's passed on. So one of her granddaughters is an exceptional artist. An exceptional artist. So she's not good. She has left a trace behind. And I'm sure that's going to stand the family in good stead. She really taught the family well. She certainly taught me well. And she taught me about being thrifty. And this was a joke at one point. So I would go into the kitchen. This is the old house in this beach. On one occasion I saw her dealing with the toothpaste tube. And she was using a spoon and she was pressing from the back and moving all the toothpaste forward. And I looked at her and I said, "What are you doing, Parvathi?" And she says, "Don't worry, one day you will do it." And she says, "When you have to pay for it, you will do it." And she was so right, because I do it unconsciously. So the values that my aunt has taught us are still with us. And I'm glad in a way she is where she is, because she had the last few years which were quite traumatic. And I hope that she's now in peace, and I really hope she's going to see her sister and say hi to my mother herself. I hope she's there. Thank you.
Shanti Sai, Prashanti Baba, Prashanti Sai, Prashanti Prashanti Sai, Prashanti Baba, Prashanti Sai, Prashanti Baba, Shivaya Shivaya Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Shivaya Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Shivaya Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Shivaya Namah Shivaya, Prashanti Sai, Prashanti Baba, Prashanti Sai, Prashanti Baba, Shirdi Sai, Krishna Kanai, Shirdi Sai, Krishna Kanai, Namo Namo Sai, Bhajo Bhajo Sai, Namo Namo Sai, Bhajo Bhajo Sai, Sai Namo Namo, 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 Sai Nada, Sai Namo Namo, Sai Nada, Sai Namo Namo, Sai Nada, Prashanti Sai, Prashanti Baba.
Om Sai Ram. We'll hand over now to Padma Dev to perform the last ritual for Masi.
પાપોના નાશને માટે નમો વિષ્ણુ સદા સદા ઉદ્ધાર સર્વ પિતૃઓ મને પન્ના ટાજો પિતા પિતા મહાદીને માતા મહાદી સર્વ જે ગુરુ સ્વસુર પક્ષે જે વળી મુજને બાંધવો સર્વના પાપ બાળી દો સર્વને ટાળજો પ્રભુ સમસ્ત કુળ સર્વને વૈકુંઠે વસાવજો મંગલ મંદિર ખોલો દયામય મંગલ મંદિર ખોલો મંગલ મંદિર ખોલો દયામય મંગલ મંદિર ખોલો જીવન વન અતિ વેગે વટાવ્યું જીવન વન અતિ વેગે વટાવ્યું દ્વાર ઉભો શિશુ બોળો દયામય મંગલ મંદિર ખોલો મંગલ મંદિર ખોલો દયામય મંગલ મંદિર ખોલો તિમિર ગયું ને જ્યોતિ પ્રકાશ્યો તિમિર ગયું ને જ્યોતિ પ્રકાશ્યો શિશુને ઉરમાલો દયામય મંગલ મંદિર ખોલો મંગલ મંદિર ખોલો દયામય મંગલ મંદિર ખોલો નામ મધુરતમ રત્યો નિરંતર નામ મધુરતમ રત્યો નિરંતર શિશુ સહ પ્રેમે બોલો દયામય મંગલ મંદિર ખોલો મંગલ મંદિર ખોલો દયામય મંગલ મંદિર ખોલો દિવ્ય તૃષાતુર આવ્યો બાળક દિવ્ય તૃષાતુર આવ્યો બાળક પ્રેમે અમીર સઢોરો દયામય મંગલ મંદિર ખોલો મંગલ મંદિર ખોલો દયામય મંગલ મંદિર ખોલો વેલા આત્માને મન હૃદયથી આપજે શાંતિ પૂરી બધી રીતે એનું પ્રભુ કરાવજે સર્વ કલ્યાણ શ્રીજી બધા જીવો સાથે ગત જીવનમાં જે થયેલો સંબંધ કરાવી દો એને સાવ તરફથી સાવ નિશ્ચિત મુક્ત પ્રભુ તારે દ્વારે આવ્યો છે આત્મા પ્રભુ તારે દ્વારે આવ્યો છે આત્મા શાંતિ દેજો દે પરમાત્મા हे परमात्मा અમે સૌ ભેગા મળી કરીએ પ્રાર્થના અમે સૌ ભેગા મળી કરીએ પ્રાર્થના શાંતિ દેજો હે પરમાત્મા શાંતિ દેજો હે પરમાત્મા જન્મ જન્મના ફેરા ટાળજો જન્મ જન્મના ફેરા ટાળજો મુક્તિ દેજો હે પરમાત્મા મુક્તિ દેજો હે પરમાત્મા લક્ષ 84ના ફેરા ટાળજો લક્ષ 84ના ફેરા ટાળજો સદગતિ દેજો હે પરમાત્મા મોક્ષ ગતિ દેજો હે પરમાત્મા પ્રભુ તારે દ્વારે આવ્યો છે આત્મા પ્રભુ તારે દ્વારે આવ્યો છે આત્મા શાંતિ દેજો હે પરમાત્મા શાંતિ દેજો હે પરમાત્મા ઓમ દ્યો શાંતિ અંતરિક્ષ શાંતિ પૃથ્વી શાંતિ રાપા શાંતિ ઓષધયા શાંતિ વનસ્પતયા શાંતિ વિશ્વે દેવા શાંતિ બ્રહ્મ શાંતિ સર્વગૌ શાંતિ શાંતિ રેવ શાંતિ શ્યામા શાંતિ દેવી ઓમ શાંતિ શાંતિ શાંતિ
With सब संता राम रतन धन जो कोई पाई जीवन भर मायन गाई मंगल भवन मंगलहारी प्रभु सुदशरथ अचिर तिहारी राम सिया राम जय जय राम 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 प्रभु रामचंद्र की दूता हनुमंता जड़िया प्रभु रामचंद्र की दूता हनुमंता जड़िया हनुमंता 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 आंजनेया देवन पुत्र हनुमंता बलभीमा आंजनेया देवन पुत्र हनुमंता बलभीमा आंजनेया बलभीमा 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 आंजनेया बलभीमा 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 आंजनेया प्रभु रामचंद्र की दूता हनुमंता आंजनेया जय हो जय हो जय हो आंजनेया 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 प्रभु रामचंद्र की दूता हनुमंता आंजनेया हनुमंता आंजनेया हनुमंता आंजनेया हनुमंता अच्युतं केशवं कृष्णदामोदरं रामनारायणं जानकीवल्लभम् अच्युतं केशवं कृष्णदामोदरम् अच्युतं केशवं कृष्णदामोदरं रामनारायणं जानकीवल्लभं रामनारायणं जानकीवल्लभम् अच्युतं केशवं कृष्णदामोदरं रामनारायणं जानकीवल्लभम् कौन कहता है भगवान आते नहीं मेरे शबरी की जैसे खिलाते नहीं, मेरी शबरी की जैसे खिलाते नहीं। अच्युतम केशवम कृष्ण दामोदरम राम नारायणम जानकी वल्लभम। कौन कहते हैं भगवान सोते नहीं, कौन कहते हैं भगवान सोते नहीं। माया शोधा की जैसे खिलाते नहीं, माया शोधा की जैसे सुलाते नहीं। अच्युतम केशवम कृष्ण दामोदरम, अच्युतम केशवम कृष्ण दामोदरम राम नारायणम जानकी वल्लभम। कौन कहते हैं भगवान नाचते नहीं, कौन कहते हैं भगवान नाचते नहीं। गोपियों की तरह तुम नचाते नहीं, गोपियों की तरह तुम नचाते नहीं। अच्युतम केशवम कृष्ण दामोदरम, अच्युतम केशवम कृष्ण दामोदरम राम नारायणम जानकी वल्लभम, राम नारायणम जानकी वल्लभम, राम नारायण जानकी वल्लभम।
Family and friends, for those of you who want to pay your last respects and do your final viewing, please do so now before the casket goes into the antechambers.